YouTube! What's going on? It's Flag1122 back again for SynthPop review. Today I'm going to do something a little bit different. Instead of talking about classic synthpop music, I'm going to be talking about a band from the last couple years. This is Cut Copy. This is a band out of Melbourne, Australia, and the band makes up Dan Whitford on vocals and guitar, Tim Hoey on guitars and samplers, Ben Browning on bass guitar, and Michael Scott on drums. Not Michael Scott from The Office, although that would be fantastic if Michael Scott from The Office played drums in a Australian band. Anyway, last year I was at my local CD store, saw this in the electronic department, and I thought it was a really cool cover, and a lot of times that's how I choose music. If it looks cool, I just give it a go. And it's about 60-40. 60% is usually kind of garbage, and 40% is usually okay. But this was fantastic. This was right up my alley. You can kind of put this in the indie new synthwave category, along the lines of like Washed Out and Phoenix and bands like that. But I really liked it. Kind of fell in love with the band, to tell you the truth. Cut Copy started in 2001 in Melbourne, as I said before. Their first release was Like Bright Neon Love. And that's kind of a weird title. And this is a weird title too. In Ghost Colors. I love titles that are strange like that. But anyway, I popped it in, got to listen to it. This is the first track called I Feel Love. And I was like, oh my gosh, this sounds a lot like classic New Order. And that made me excited. There's 15 tracks on this release right here. It's about 50 minutes long, and the standout tracks on it are, I'd say, track number 1 and track number 3, Lights and Music, which was released as a single before the LP came out, and then they kind of reworked it, rearranged it for this LP release, and it's just absolutely fantastic. I'm going to go ahead and take it to track 3 now, and I also really like track 10. I think track 10 is amazing. It is called Far Away, and their influences, like I said before, it's more like an indie synth. They still play a lot of instruments, drums, bass, what have you, but there's a lot of sampling that's done, a lot of that sounds like kind of like classic house music, maybe a little funk thrown in there too. I know that Dan Whitford is a big fan of funk music and early house music that came out of like Detroit in the early 80s. Their influences are really varied, anywhere from like Primal Scream to they've mentioned Tangerine Dream being an influence on them. They're on the Modular label, and they have 3 albums so far. Like I said before, Bright Like Neon Love is the first one. In Ghost Colors is the second one, and Zonoscope is the third one. And Zonoscope is also an amazing album, and it came out in 2011, and then after I bought this last year, I downloaded Zonoscope, and they have a new album coming out this year in November 5th, and it's called Free Your Mind. And I'm lucky enough I'm going to be able to go up and see them in St. Louis in November live at the Pageant Theater. Anyway, I think that if you're into music like, New Order, if you like sort of like dreamwave music that kind of like flows in kind of ambient spaces like this, you can hear it. They haven't completely abandoned like their instruments, and that's kind of like what I liked about New Order. You still had the brilliant bass guitar of Hooky, but then you had synth riffs and rhythms, just really, really fantastic stuff. So if you miss New Order not making any new music, then give Cut Copy a go. I think you won't be sorry. This release right here came out in 2008, and it was really a big leap forward for Cut Copy because it debuted at number 1 on the ARIA album chart, which is the Australian form of Billboard, basically, and it kind of they just rose to fame after that. And the album peaked in America at I think number 167, something like that. So they made kind of a small splash with that. But I think this new album is really going to put them over the top in the American crowd. Anyway, I give this a really high recommendation. Out of a possible 5, I would give it 4.5. I just think it's fantastic. I mean, you can just absolutely gorgeous music, and it's music that just makes you feel happy. It's kind of dreaming, you know, and you can kind of relax with it, but you can't help but kind of move your feet and shuffle along with it. It's just one of those kind of bands. You can find it anywhere, you know. I think though the LP version is the vinyl version is pretty rare. You can download it on Amazon and iTunes and stuff like that. Anyway, cut copy in ghost colors. Check it out. And I'll be doing this probably this kind of review probably every other week, something like that. Just I'll try to introduce you to kind of new music that still has like a synth electronic sound to it, but you know, that's come out more recently. Anyway, guys and gals, that's all from me. I'll talk to you again real soon. Thanks for watching SynthPop Reviews. Flag 1122 signing out.